Hello everyone. In today's video, we're going to be examining the hostile narrative surrounding men that has seemed to have escalated over the past few years in particular. But firstly, just as a disclaimer, this video is in no way meant to suggest that all men are helpless victims incapable of standing up for themselves. On the contrary, since the beginning of time, men haven't exactly gone gently into the good night, so to speak, and I highly doubt they're going to start doing so now. But considering that my time in politics has afforded me a front row seat to many of these attacks which are primarily promoted by the mainstream media, the education system, the entertainment industry, and feminism, of course, I feel inclined to make a video calling them out. For starters, due to the fact that the dominant culture has accepted and promotes the narrative of the patriarchy, the focus has naturally shifted primarily to women's issues. The belief is that since men, quote unquote, have a monopoly on power and privilege, they therefore can't possibly have any personal problems and struggles of their own that are worthy of society's empathy and help. This is why men and their very real, very significant problems are either being completely ignored, reported on very little, or, crazily enough, completely twisted into somehow appearing like they're women's issues. Broke men are making it hard for women to marry. Women are struggling to find men who make as much money as they do. Men have no friends, and women bear the burden. Regarding some of the major issues that men today are facing, one example is the suicide rate. In 2017, 47,173 Americans died by suicide. Men died by suicide 3.54 times more often than women, and white males accounted for 69.67% of suicide deaths. Another example is the homelessness rate. Gender and racial demographics are an important part of the American homelessness story. The homeless population is largely male. Among individual adults, 70% are men. White Americans are the largest racial grouping, accounting for 49% of those experiencing homelessness. However, African Americans and American Indians are dramatically overrepresented in the point-in-time count compared to their numbers in the general population. You also have a sentencing disparity between men and women. In 2012, Sonia B. Starr from University of Michigan Law School found that, quote, men receive 63% longer sentences on average than women do, and women are twice as likely to avoid incarceration if convicted, also based on data from U.S. federal court cases. In 2006, Anne-Marie Stacy and Cassia Spone found that women receive far more lenient sentences than men after controlling for presumptive sentence, family responsibilities, offender characteristics, and other legally relevant variables, based on examination of 3 U.S. district courts. Men are also 10 times more likely than women to be killed at work. Looking at 139 separate occupations and discrete industries, an obvious pattern quickly emerges. The safest workplaces are indoors, and the safest occupations frequently require education beyond high school. The most deadly occupations, on the other hand, are outside and often involve operating equipment. This largely drives the huge difference in workplace fatalities between men and women, with 4,761 men dying on the job compared to 386 women in 2017. The fatality rate for men was about 10 times that of women. Men are also being outnumbered by women at a record high in universities worldwide. And according to a recent LinkedIn report, due to more and more companies wanting to build gender-balanced teams and hire and promote more women, women apply to fewer jobs than men, but are more likely to get hired. The reason that I mention these facts is not to play some kind of game of comparison between men and women, but rather to point out that despite the mainstream focus on women's issues, it's, gasp, not exclusively women who experience injustice and struggle. Men also have very real, very important issues, and ignoring these issues isn't going to make them decide to, flutter away and evaporate. On the contrary, doing so either results in men logging off, so to speak, retreating into themselves and breaking off from the larger society, or becoming angry, resentful, and prone to lashing out. It comes as absolutely no surprise to me at this point that movements like the men's rights movement have gained such popularity. Men are tired of being shamed for their inherent qualities, such as masculinity, and pigeonholed as the perpetrators of all the world's problems. Low marriage rates, childlessness, student debt, and even climate change. Another very significant issue that many men today are facing is judicial bias in the family courts. A study conducted in 2004 found that although the tender years doctrine had been abolished some time ago, a majority of Indiana family court judges still supported it and decided cases coming before them consistently with it. A survey of judges in Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee found a clear preference among judges for maternal custody in general. Another survey, this one commissioned by the Minnesota Supreme Court, found that a majority, 56%, of the state's judges, both male and female, agreed with the statement, "I believe young children belong with their mother." Only a few of the judges indicated that they would need more information about the mother before they could answer. Fathers, one judge explained, must prove their ability to parent while mothers are assumed to be able. Another judge commented, "I believe that God has given women a psychological makeup that is better tuned to caring for small children." Judges' self-reporting of their prejudices against fathers was consistent with practicing attorneys' impressions of them. 69% of male attorneys had come to the conclusion that judges always or often assume, from the outset, i.e. before being presented with any evidence, that children belong with their mothers. 40% of the female attorneys agreed with that assessment. Nearly all attorneys, 94% of male attorneys and 84% of female attorneys, said that all judges exhibited prejudice against fathers at least some of the time. On that note, I should add that according to a study conducted by WFLawyers.com, about 50% of marriages in the United States end in divorce. Of those divorces, about 80% are initiated by women. In other words, women are both initiating the bulk of divorces and getting custody of the children. While this video has already become fairly info-heavy, it really wouldn't be complete if I didn't at least breach the negative consequences of the Me Too movement. While the Me Too movement may have started out with good intentions, I really can't say definitively because I can't read the minds of the women who launched the movement. While it may have started as a way to sound the alarm on genuine sexual violence committed against women, it morphed into something extremely dangerous when it started embracing slogans such as "believe all women." It doesn't take a genius to discern that believing all women, without any regard whatsoever for evidence, paves the way for witch hunts, trials by social media mobs, and even worse, false rape accusations. False rape accusations are indeed very real, and they destroy innocent reputations, individuals, families, and even lives in the process. According to the Harvard Business Review, men no longer want to work with women. Men are treating their female co-workers differently because of Me Too. 19% of men said they were reluctant to hire attractive women. 21% said they were reluctant to hire women for jobs involving close interactions with men. 27% said they avoided one-on-one meetings with female colleagues. I'm not claiming that our society has no need for movements like the Me Too movement, but if these movements truly do want to accomplish something good, they need to be concerned with evidence, fair trials, and shining a light on all forms of violence, including the violence that affects men. Often it seems that violence against women is regarded as a higher priority than that which men face, likely because women face it at a higher rate, but this shouldn't make the violence that men face any less of a concern. On average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence, intimate partner contact sexual violence, and/or intimate partner stalking with impacts such as injury, fearfulness, post-traumatic stress disorder, use of victim services, contraction of sexually transmitted diseases, etc. The last issue I'd like to touch upon in this video is the coordinated and ever-increasing effort to attack men and boys for their inherent qualities such as masculinity. While feminism may claim to have an interest in establishing equality, it's shown itself to be far more interested in usurping the traditional male role, and thus a war of sorts has been sparked. Boys and men are not only shamed and belittled for their masculine qualities, their masculinity is deemed toxic, a danger to society even. Meanwhile, the feminization of boys and men is upheld, praised, and defended. Gone are the days when men were valued and respected for their desire to protect and to lead, and for their societal contributions. As a replacement, our culture has turned them into a punching bag, choosing to focus solely on what men have done wrong, are doing wrong, will do wrong, and how they can do better. In the workforce, the focus has shifted to hiring women and minorities. Believe it or not, some of these companies even go so far as to announce that they don't want straight white men applying for their jobs. And in the family, fatherhood isn't regarded with the same significance as it once was. While, to be fair, the role of motherhood isn't as regarded as highly as that of the career woman, it still is regarded higher than that of fatherhood. Not even Father's Day is safe any longer from the destructive hands of our brave new woke culture. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these people were of the belief that men are only valuable for their sperm. Oh wait, some of these people are. So what's the solution? On some level, the problem seems unsolvable, but that's perhaps simply because we've allowed our society to regress to such a disoriented state that trying to recover it would likely take decades and a concerted effort by many, many, many courageous people. How then do young men today succeed in getting society to care about their issues when the most powerful institutions, the media, education, entertainment, and so on, are so set on belittling, blaming, and demonizing them? On a material level, I would say that some of the most effective means of combat are, firstly, refusing to feed those behind the propaganda. For example, not supporting with clicks media sites that peddle anti-male rhetoric, or not paying to see a Hollywood film about toxic masculinity. And also through activism. For example, the men's rights movement. Although I do have to confess that I'm not too familiar with how this movement operates, I'm only aware of it broadly speaking. From my own experience, I would say that the best support for not only just navigating, but persevering through this clown world that we're living in is by finding a strong, stable, tight-knit, real-life community. Whether that community be found in a family, a friend group, a religious parish, or even a mentor or role model. Escapism and even a desire to isolate oneself can be extremely tempting nowadays, even for me, to be honest. Oh, it sounds wonderful. But the truth is that you can't change the world if you're not even a part of it. For all those currently under attack by the dominant culture, men, but particularly straight white men, Christians, unborn babies, women who reject feminism, and so on, we're only going to see an end to these attacks if we choose to remain present and resolute. Allowing ourselves to get disillusioned, to label society a clown world, and then to bow out won't ease the problem. As Cardinal Newman so wisely stated, good is never accomplished except at the cost of those who do it. Truth never breaks through except through the sacrifice of those who spread it. Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Just a little bit of housekeeping before I end this video, because there's some announcements I've been wanting to make for a while, but I keep forgetting, so I'll do it now. First of all, I no longer have a P.O. box in the United States. I live in Austria now, and I share a P.O. box with my husband. So if you're still interested in sending mail, please do not send it to the US. Please send it to the Austrian P.O. box, which I have linked in the description. And on that note, mentioning my husband, many of you will have noticed that I changed my channel name. Now, I know that I'm kind of known and branded, so to speak, I hate that word, as Brittany Pettibone, but it felt really wrong to keep Brittany Pettibone, so I switched it to Brittany Sellner, and I hope the change is not too drastic and that you all get used to it very soon. Lastly, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy the content I make, please do consider leaving me a tip via PayPal or picking up a copy of my book, which is available now both in German and English. That is all. That's it for the announcements. Once again, I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.